Welcome back, everybody, to the three-man show tonight, Clash and Conferences podcast. We're here with the members group. Little light, I think. We had some Kentucky fans that are devastated right now. I don't think we're going to get our normal state of Kentucky report, and I think maybe we had some people have too many capital gain losses and are depressed and not able to make it tonight as a result. But we are pounding on here with me, Kyle, and Patty. And we're going to get into a couple of things tonight. We actually got a lot going on in the sports world. I'm excited to get into it with you guys tonight. Before we do, just want to remind everybody, please check out the clashingconferences.com. It's very easy to get involved here. All you got to do is go there and fill out a very easy form. I know you're probably tired of hearing me say it, but if you're watching this show and you are not on that form yet, I don't know what you're doing. So get on it. It's a good time. We got a growing group, and we're doing this thing. We got two sponsors I want to shout out to: Sparrow Hair Studios in Lancaster, PA. If you're nearby, get in there and see Lean. She'll take good care of you. And Lotwin. Rep your team with a custom 3D printed hype chain from Lotwin. Big game, big day, or just showing out. These made-to-order chains bring the energy. Use code TCCPOD for 10% off, or grab one of our oversized chains on their website to support the network. Links in the description, very easy to find. Steve will hook it up. Now, that being out of the way, what do you guys got left in your brackets? I was just looking at this a minute ago in our internal competition bracket. We really got three people alive still here. We got me, I think it was. If well, let me bring that up. I thought I was ready here, and I'm not. But actually, here we go. Paul Douglas, if Florida wins, looks like he's going to take it. Corey Dickinson, if Auburn wins, looks like he's going to take it. Looks like if Duke wins, I will take it. And I don't know, he's pretty far back, but Tony P seems to be the highest guy, the only guy with Houston winning it. So he might have an outside shot as well. That is an update on the Clashing Conferences brackets. How are you guys' personal brackets doing? I know you both run a pool each yourselves. How's your personal brackets looking?
I had, an absolutely devastating blow with Texas Tech on Saturday night, but I put in two brackets in my own, and if it's Florida versus Houston and Florida wins, I can still win mine, but it's if Duke wins, it's pretty much game over for me. But fun little shout out. I hope she's listening. I'll tell her to listen. But shout out Jenna Quinlan. She is in the lead for my bracket. She's one of my really best friends' wives, and she is looking to three-peat as a bracket winner. Who does not
Uh-oh.
That's
watch college
incredible.
basketball at all. So want to shout out her real quick.
Do you know her mythology? If she doesn't watch it at all, do you know her
Nope.
methodology?
I have
Are we
no idea.
going
She has,
mascots? Are we going favorite states to visit?
I don't know. She's got to have
Colors.
some method to the madness because she texted me before the bracket this year and she said, "Am I allowed to play?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And then, so here we are.
That's awesome.
My notes
That
say
is
I'm
awesome.
rooting for Florida to beat Duke in your bracket to win it, Patty.
Yeah, I saw that you're in the top five as well.
Kyle, do you have all four number ones?
No, no. I had three of the four.
Okay.
And look, if you look at our clashing conferences bracket, I'm number four there. So it's solid effort. If Florida wins, I'm probably coming in second. So,
That's
I'll
nothing to
take
sneeze
it.
at.
No, I'll take it. Everybody was busting my chops after the first couple days, and I said, what did I tell you at PJ's? I was like, you got to look at the maximum amount of points
Yep.
left. That's all you got
Yep.
to worry about. And I
Always the
was right
most
up there.
important.
So,
Absolutely.
I'll take it. I'll take it. It was a weird year. I didn't think it was going to be straight chalk, but man, the Final Four is
Well,
going to be
the
great to
second
watch.
time in I think 40 years they say that you've had all four number one seeds.
Yeah, I think what,
So
'08 or '09 was the last time?
doesn't happen much.
No, no, but those four teams, man, that these games should be really, really, really good.
I
Yeah, it should
agree.
be a phenomenal should be a phenomenal weekend of college basketball. I'm still a little bit upset. I did put this in our group chat, which you can join if you join the Clash and Conferences Network. You can join our exclusive Discord, and I put that uh, jokingly that my stepdad cursed Texas Tech because not even joking, with 3 minutes to go, he texted me saying, "Wow, can't believe you're the only person that picked Texas Tech. What a pick! Great job by you." And then and then Florida went on a 16-2 run and beat them.
That
How
was
do you miss the
insane.
front end? How do you miss the front end of two 1-1s? Are you kidding me? The front end of two 1-1s? Like,
Did you see the confidence in Clayton that he had the ball 3 feet away from the basket and he was like, "No, I'm gonna dribble out and I'm just gonna turn around and shoot a three to
yeah, I
take
mean,
the lead."
he's got that. Clayton has that sicko
He's
confidence,
a killer.
like that Curry, like Curry in the Olympics. Like, obviously, I'm not comparing him to Steph Curry, but just that killer instinct of like, I'm the best shooter on this court, and I'm going to shoot, and you can't stop me. Like, there's something about being that guy. I mean, there's just so many storylines like that. So you're not gonna get Clayton, the freshman Hog or Haig or however you say his name. He's nice too, and then you're gonna get them playing Janai Broom and Chad Baker Mazzara. Like, that's a huge matchup there.
Yeah,
Not
I
even
mean, I
talking about the other side yet. Like,
I know, I know. Did you see there was all four of these teams are four of the top ranked. I
Ken
forget what.
Palms ever.
Yep,
Yeah.
10 palms ever, and four of the top six. And it's a shame that three of them has to lose. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
incredible.
The thing was, I meant to send it to you, Kyle, actually. Like, I saw this thing. I don't know if you saw it was before Houston played Tennessee when they played Purdue, because it came down to like that last possession. How it's talking about like the genius that is Kelvin Sampson. Like, we don't talk about him enough as a head coach in the NCAA. Like, just the passion, the energy he's brought, obviously following in his dad's legacy and everything like that, and what he's brought to Houston. But basically, they said early in the game, they had two turnovers to Purdue on inbounds passes from the baseline because Braden Smith wouldn't guard the inbounds guy. He would guard like whatever he sees first. So the play they drew up at the end of the game was a pick to the wide side of the court so that Braden Smith bailed out, and then they ran the give and go with the inbounder. Like, it was like crazy that it was basically like Kelvin Sampson set this up for an entire game. Like, he saved this play till there was 10 seconds left, and then
Yep.
obviously in the crucial time, that's when it happened.
Yeah, he's a hell of a coach, and I'll tell you what, man, he just seems like he has a respect for the game like none other. And it's very enlightening to see, considering what Kentucky's had for the last few years with Calipari, who seems sometimes like he has no respect for the game. You know what I mean? But it seems like Calvin Sampson just respects the game way too much. And it's enlightening to see. It really
And
is.
he got his guys playing like that too. I mean, the way they play defense is just, I mean, they play harder than most.
You know what the crazy part is too is that I thought that Houston was a better team last year than they were this year, and they're playing much better this year now towards the end of the year than they did last year, because they had Jamal Shed last year, who's on the Raptors now, kind of making a name for himself with LJ Cryer. But now LJ Cryer is the guy in charge, and I think this matchup on the right side of the bracket is so fun because you are literally getting polar opposites. You're getting
Yeah.
Duke, who just scores at the most efficient rate, and you're getting Houston, who plays defense at the most efficient rate. And it's just going to it's literally a unstoppable force meets an immovable object on, like, it. That's just so fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, you really do you have four complete teams where, they don't rely on just one guy to score. They're a very well balanced team, all four of them. And that was the thing that got me with Tennessee, with Alabama. I mean, I didn't think that they were going to be able to shoot 50% from three throughout the whole tournament. I mean, they gave it a good shot. They really did. But as soon as, as soon as Sears went cold for them, I knew Alabama was losing. Same thing with Tennessee when their guards got shut down. That's it. You know what I mean? It took them out of the game. So I mean, I just these four teams. It's going to be interesting to see how Broom plays after that elbow injury. I mean, that looked nasty. It looked like
That
it
was
hyperextended the opposite way.
it was such good, like, real reality TV though.
It really
You know,
was.
I mean,
Yeah.
like you got his mom crying in the stands and his mom and dad rushing down to the court to like make sure that he's okay. And Broom's coming off the court telling his team and his mom and dad that he's not okay, and they're taking him back to the locker room, do x-rays, and next thing you know, this guy's coming back with one arm shooting three-pointers and blocking shots, and like what a moment for him. And
Shout
I
out to
hope,
Topher, but Willis Reed style for the
yeah,
Knicks. You know what I mean? That's exactly
absolutely,
what it
I
was.
hope he's okay because they need him to have any chance to beat Florida. They need him to be healthy and ready to
Look,
go.
you don't want to ever think that people fake injuries or anything like that, but I mean, the dude came back in the game and it didn't look like he was going to move his arm at all. And then all of a sudden he gets
No.
open for three and
Yeah,
drains
I
it,
know.
right? And I'm like, wait a minute, you know, and even the announcers that were announcing the game, they're like, oh, he's telling his team, go out and win this. I'm done. I'm done. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden he comes back 3 minutes later, you know?
And crazy that the three of us talked last week about how Michigan State Michigan State's Achilles heel was going to be them going cold. And at the end of the game, they looked great, but they just couldn't get over the fact that they were ice cold the first 20 minutes of the game. And guy like Cohen Carr, Jace Richardson was what, 3 of 11. And Holloway was like 2 of 12. Like they didn't play bad. They just literally played a bad half. And you can't do that against a team like Auburn.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were getting the open shots. They just weren't making them, you know, and that's pretty much what it was.
Well, we got four teams left. We got four number one seeds. Who you guys picking in the two games we got left? And then who's your national champ at this point?
I'm gonna go Florida and Duke. I just think that matchup I think it's the logical matchup, but it's also who I want to see. I want to see Clayton go against Cooper Flag. I think that would be a hell of a matchup. I I hate to say this with my heart of hearts, so I'm not going to say it. Florida's going to beat them. But I honestly think that Duke is such a damn good team, man. They just all their guys seem to step up. Proctor plays well. Knuppel, whatever his name is, he's a stud. I mean, it's just they got three guys on that team that are potential top five picks.
Yep.
They could be top five picks, you know. And but going against Florida, I think you know, and I think Florida beats Auburn. I think Auburn's luck runs out. And you know, Bruce Pearl is what he is. I'm not a big fan. I never liked him when he was with Tennessee back in the day and all that stuff. So um, we'll see. But I think Florida beats Duke. Hopefully in the championship, and that's how I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, I think it'll be Florida Duke, but would like to pick Florida Houston for my mid-sized capital gains. But I think a couple interesting things that I would like to point out before we move on from college basketball are one is the first episode of the rotating members group, we said that Bruce Pearl could bring this team to the national championship and that when they were playing really good in that Maui tournament, how good they were. Maybe Steve can do some
Roll the tape.
like roll the tape, back so we can get it and everything like that. But I thought that was interesting. And then this is what I find the most. I do think it'd be Florida Duke. I think this is the most interesting point I heard all weekend. Do John Shire and Cooper Flag make Duke likable?
No.
Not a chance. They make them
But
even
that's
more.
but that's the past you talking. That's you thinking about what Duke was. Like this Duke team, I'm not a Duke guy. I'm a classic hate Duke guy, but this team is likable, man. They are. Period. Like
Think you've been drinking some of the sauce tonight,
I
buddy. They're
like
not
Cooper
likable.
Flag because I want to see him in a Hornets uniform, and that's about as far as that goes.
Yeah, and if he's not a Hornet, you're gonna hate him because he
Yeah.
went to Duke.
Yeah,
So it is what it is.
absolutely.
obviously the brand Duke is still hateable, and I will always hate the brand Duke. But something about John Shire and Cooper Flag together make it a likable team, in my opinion.
I don't like John Shire.
I don't hate John Shire, but I wouldn't call him likable. Not in the Duke sideline.
There's not one part of me that will even remotely come close to agreeing with you there, Patty. They're not likable in any way. I love you, buddy, but I'm not gonna agree with you on this one.
Listen, you're not. It's just a take that I saw. I'm not saying
Yep.
that. I'm not saying that it's my take that I generated. I'm just saying that I thought it was interesting because this is one of the first times in my lifetime that I can remember being like, I remember, most Duke teams growing up where I'm like, God, I hope they lose. When they lost to Lehigh, I was like, wow, this is awesome, but this year it doesn't feel like that. I don't know why. I'm just saying this team feels a little bit different.
I think that's because you've never gotten burned by them. If you would have got burned in your capital gains or in a rivalry matchup, you probably would never feel that way. Believe me.
Hey, I
Believe
feel
me.
that way about Kentucky sometimes when I think about the game versus Notre Dame in the Elite Eight in 2015, and the refs just handed Jaleel Okafor a big bag of cash and said, "Here you go, pal. Take this to the national championship." So that one's
I
for
hear
you,
you.
Cody.
I hear you. But listen, I hate Duke because every March Madness I have to relive watching that stupid shot. Every year they play the same dumb stuff. I can't. I get
Oh
it. It was a
man,
great shot, but let it go. It's done
Ken-
and over with. It's
Kentucky
30
fans
years
will
ago.
never forget.
No, never, never.
Is that still like a clip in the One Shining Moment?
Yeah,
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 like
it
they
is.
still play that.
How do you not guard the inbound pass? 30 years later, I still have never gotten an answer to that. How do you not guard the inbound pass? Grant Hill made a hell of a throw, don't get me wrong, but to throw it 75 feet, that's a hell of a throw. He
See,
doesn't make that throw if you just put your hands up.
this I feel like this is why Cody didn't show up tonight.
Probably, probably.
He
That's why I'm
was
wearing black. I'm mourning the loss. I'm wearing black. You know what I mean? But we got to move on.
Well,
We got to move on.
let's spin this pop real quick before we get off of college basketball. Let's spin it positive. Let's talk just for a second about the off season. I know I might be jumping the gun a little bit with 3 games left to go, but Kyle, I feel like you are very similar to my team, UConn, in that neither one of us last year really had a chance with the way the portal things work. Us because we were still in the tournament, you because you were looking for a coach. We didn't get a chance to build our teams properly last year. You're going to get to do it this year, and Pope looks to be the real deal, and it looks to be like the kind of coach the kids might want to go play for. You excited about what you have to come here?
I am super excited about what's about to transpire over the next few weeks. They're probably going to get 2 or 3 studs from the transfer portal right off the bat. They got the reigning Mr. Kentucky basketball coming in the freshman class. He's recruiting a couple other guys
Mm-hmm. That's
that
how it
still have
works.
yet to commit. So they have a good shot at not only being better than what they were this year, but going on a deeper run with a much better team. Much better team. So I'm super excited to see what they got. Because look, Kentucky, we all know as being a blue blood, they got endless amounts of NIL money.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
they can throw it at people with the best of them out there. So and plus, who's going to turn down a free opportunity to see Cody? You know what I mean? That's part of the selling deal. They're going to get top recruits just to say you got to meet this guy Cody from Kentucky. So I think I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. But I think they land a couple key guys in the next day or two.
I like it. Patty, I don't know if you hear anything about Notre Dame men's, but what's going on with Notre Dame's women? We got a girl who could have been a top 3 pick in the WNBA draft deciding to enter the women's portal instead.
I I trust their women's program honestly more than I trust their men's program at this
Well, they
point.
got
The
a
the
pretty
amount of
good women's
the amount of
program.
WNBA stars that they've produced over the last 15 years are just college stars, whether it's Maya Moore, Skylar Diggins, I can't think of the other girl, but like they just produce, so it is a nice little fun thing to watch. But I'll be honest, I just don't keep up with it enough on the women's side to be like I'll watch them in the tournament. But I did hear this news about the transfer portal, so good for her.
I
Athletes,
think it's
men,
crazy
women,
that there's
yeah.
enough money in women's college basketball to keep a girl from being a top WNBA pick, professional pick. That's crazy to me.
There's more money in women's college basketball than the WNBA.
Yeah,
That's why.
exactly.
Just
100%.
wow.
Well, because what
Hmm.
you got to think though is that the ability to fund women's college basketball comes from private equity and
Yeah.
boosters and
Yeah.
all that stuff, which is much easier to finance than something like the WNBA, where you're talking about revenue sharing and ticket sales and
And
all
they're
these
trying to
stuff
make money.
that come into play. Whereas, these girls, like, okay, like, the girl that's at LSU, Flau'jae Johnson, like, she gets all this NIL stuff because of the booster money coming into LSU, and because she's good and she's earned it and the right to all that stuff. But she gets it because it's easier to sponsor somebody in college and the brand that is March Madness than sponsor WNBA players sometimes, because of the brands that you're getting and what you're putting out. Because unless your name is and, like, again, I think the WNBA is getting a better product, but realistically, over the last 20 years, how many superstars have we had in the WNBA that are like household names? You have Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese right now. The ones growing up for me were like Sue Bird, Lisa Leslie, Diana Taurasi, but like,
Not many.
they need to do a better job of Candace Parker. Like, they need to do a better job of getting branded stars that help them grow this game, like Maya Moore, or Skylar Diggins, who are really good, basketball players, or Kelsey Plum, or the girl from, she was on Vegas with Kelsey Plum. I can't think of her name. Asia Wilson.
Asia
I
Wilson, yep.
Yes,
I
yep,
think her name is, like, these are stars that more people should know about, and that comes with getting the brand of the WNBA out there.
agreed.
I mean, they don't do themselves any favors with when they broadcast the games. They broadcast the games at like 1 in the afternoon sometimes on like a Thursday. It's like, get them in some of these primetime spots sometimes when there's nothing else going on, and more people will probably watch. Like, we're sports junkies. If it's on TV, we're probably going to watch, so we don't have to watch ESPN the Ocho and watch. I was watching this thing the other week. It was slippery steps, where it was just a bunch of people like our age going up and down obstacle course steps, and people squirt them with water and throw balls at them. And I'm like, really? That's what's on TV right now. That's ESPN the Ocho. I'm like, are you kidding me? WNBA would be a better spot than that, but no, I'm watching slippery steps.
I have
You
been
know,
seeing some wild stuff as I scroll through lately. I think I saw kickball last week, maybe. Um, just some wild stuff on the ESPN channels.
When they do the Ocho every, like, August, because they do it for, uh ESPN 8. And last year they had Microsoft Excel, like, who could punch in databases into Microsoft Excel on ESPN 8 the Ocho as a contest.
that's just like when you see the spelling bee competition on ESPN. You're like, really?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
okay? It must be a slow week on for ESPN.
I'm thinking one of these weeks, if we have, like, like, obviously, like, how when the MLB All-Star break is up, there's no sports on. So I'm thinking that week what we could do is invite a bunch of, like, fourth graders on and have them have a spelling bee against Cody. And it'll just be Cody versus the fourth graders, and whoever wins the spelling bee, like, gets a lot win chain that says Classroom Conference's spelling bee champion on it. And like, it'd be like that scene from Billy Madison where, like, the kid's spelling a hard word and they're like, Cody, your word is cat. And he's like, okay, CAT, cat. Like,
Loserville.
Yeah. We stomp out hunger.
wait a minute.
Unreal. Listen, I can't let you talk about Cody like that in his absence.
Cody knows
If it,
that I say everything about him out of love. He knows that. Cat connection out of love.
yes, sir.
All right, I think we've beaten college basketball enough. I want to save my big question for the end. We got any NBA we want to talk about tonight? I don't know if there's anything worth talking about. We don't have our Knicks guys here. Our Sixers rep seems to be trying to battle my Hornets for friggin' Cooper Flag. I hate you guys.
Listen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna
It
happen. I
could
told you
happen.
before, though. You know what's gonna happen. They're gonna end up taking Knuffle and not Cooper Flag because they mess it up. They're gonna take the wrong duplicate.
No, you're crazy. If they get the first pick, they ain't gonna mess it up.
Now,
This
I
is
told
one
you.
of them years that nobody in their right mind is gonna mess it up.
I think they don't get the number one pick, but I think everything that I saw, they're gonna try to draft Trey Johnson, and I like that fit. I
Well,
like
I
that
mean,
fit with that core with Maxey and McCain.
you got to remember too, if you guys end up fifth or sixth, you are not that much further down in the odds in those top three. The way they leveled everything's out now with the lottery, the top three picks all have the same odds. So, like the Hornets right now are third, which is fine with me because we got the same odds as the worst team. You know, first and third, second, third, all the same. Fourth is like a teeny tiny bit behind the odds of those first three. And then it starts to falter off a little bit there to fifth and sixth, but not a ton. You actually get a lot of ping pong balls in that ping pong ball machine that are going to say Sixers. And if
Yeah,
your
but
Yeah, and
combinations come out,
it's
how
just the
sick are you
fate.
gonna? Oh, my bad, Kyle. Go. My bad.
I know. I was just gonna say it's just the fate. Do you really want to tempt the fate with the fact that they had so many chances over the last decade and they screwed
yeah,
them up? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't think it's going to be in their favor. I think the basketball gods are going to choose against it, and I'll take a top five pick as long as they're still going to be in the top
Hey,
five. As of
you
right
just
now, I
can't
think
let
they're
those
safe.
people with the odds that are still decent behind you to jump above because that's when you're going to get screwed.
Yeah, well, and that would be the case. They'll end up with the ninth pick or something like that, and they'll take some dude from overseas that nobody's ever heard of,
Well,
and they
you
won't
get the
get the
ninth pick, you lose it. You
yeah,
have to stay
yeah,
top six.
yep.
So,
You're
you
you're
know,
right.
if you come into the draft and you're seeded sixth in that lottery and one team jumps ahead of you, you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it goes to Oklahoma City, and then
Yep.
Oklahoma City just gets better. You know.
Yeah,
But it's
it's
gonna be
crazy.
really fun to watch Cooper Flag with De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama next year. Is what it's really gonna be fun watching him
I'll
Mm.
tell you what, Patty, that would be the basis of one heck of a team, wouldn't it?
with
It would be
Pop coming back.
hopefully, yeah, hopefully, God willing, man.
I
What a
mean,
great guy.
obviously if he doesn't, but I hope so. But that would be a story. Pop coming back with Fox, Flag, and
Yeah.
Wembanyama.
Yeah.
There's only one thing left to do at that point: trade for Embiid. You know what I mean? He's the missing piece. So trade for Embiid and
Stop.
get him off our plate. Trust the process. Come on, Victor.
Who's going to play the four, him or Wemby? Well,
I
I
would
guess
be
it don't
Embiid.
matter because Embiid's not going to even play. So
Nah,
Wemby's
he'll
going to
10
play the
minutes a game.
five, and Embiid's going to sit on the bench hurt.
It'll be
Listen,
like the when Robinson and Tim Duncan were there. Robinson barely played towards the end of his career.
Chris, if you listen to this podcast, you can respond at this moment in time by letting us know if you would trade Alec Burks off the bench right now for Joel Embiid. You just let us know if Alec Burks is more valuable to you than Joel Embiid at the
I'd trade him for
28-minute mark.
Deuce. I'd trade him for Deuce. And you said before you didn't want to compare anybody to Steph Curry. I mean, first person I thought of was Chris with his
With his
messaging
Deuce
that
McBride take.
Deuce McBride is a better shooter than Steph Curry. Jesus.
Hey, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow night when he's going to tell me how PJ Tucker's going to be their savior off the bench in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
They
the only
just
person that has a
signed
bigger
him
head
for
than
the
Jalen
rest of the
Brunson.
year, and he ain't been good in like 5 years. So,
Yeah. Good luck with
well,
that, buddy.
before we get out of here, I got one more topic. I want to know what everybody thinks about these new torpedo bats. Been the talk of baseball. I know we've been trying to focus on basketball, but I feel like it's a pretty big thing in sports right now that we got these brand new torpedo bats, as they're calling them, and some guys seem to be doing pretty darn well with them. I don't know if you saw, I mean, the Yankees made all the headlines, and what was it, the first or the second game of the season? They hit, I don't know how many, was it 7 home runs or something by six
Nine,
guys? Or it
eight
was
or nine.
something, it was crazy number. And last night, Ellie De La Cruz out of Cincinnati used it for the first time and hit a couple home runs and smacked like 7 RBI. And they were joking with him in his after game press conference. You going to use it again? He said, "What the heck do you think?"
I think we have to talk about two big things. One, this is not cheating. So let's get that all out of their head. This is by the parameters of baseball.
Agree.
Whether you like the Yankees or not, this is not cheating. Two, everything will adjust back to the mean. I think this is a great scientific development for people who hit inside pitches. Guys like Jazz Chisholm, Ellie De La Cruz that are big pull hitters with quick bats. They put the weight towards the handle, and that's why they're going to see so much success early on. But what's going to happen is as the league catches up, the scouting report on these guys is now going to turn normal. in the past you didn't want to throw these guys outside pitches because you didn't want them extending their hands to the big barrel of the bat. But if you know a guy's using torpedo bat and you got a sinker baller, splitter guy, you're not going to see anything inner third, and these pitchers are going to start throwing outer third and make you reach that big inner third out there and take your shot at it. So I think we will see a big uptick this month of April while pitchers are still adjusting. But by the time we get to like early May, you will see, and it'll still help these guys that catch inside pitches. But as we get towards May, I think you will see things regress towards the mean as far as a barrage of home runs from the torpedo bat.
Completely agree. I think you're going to have about 20 other teams. I mean, the Phillies already started using a couple over the weekend. Alec Boehm used a couple. But I don't foresee that being the norm because a lot of these hitters are used to what they're used to. But I think to Patty's point, it's going to be a fad for the next month, probably maybe even till Memorial Day, and then it'll start fading off because the pitchers will get used to it. Great pitchers like Zach Wheeler and Skeens and guys like that, like they're going to pitch to their advantage, not to the hitters. So they're going to work around that to Patty's point. And if they're going to turn on it, they're going to pitch outside. They're going to throw everything in their power to not let them get around on that as quick. So I think it is interesting that it took this long for somebody to create something like that. Um, when you think about all the statistics and all the research that people do on a year-to-year basis, um, why did it take so long? Why did it take the Yankees to hire an MIT guy
That's
to
what I
create this
was
bat?
thinking, Kyle. I mean, you got an MIT physics, expert that is creating these bats and figuring out where the most power and sweet spot and all that. I mean, when we were 8, we could have told you that those big red bats hit way more home runs than those little yellow
Playing
ones. I
wiffle ball,
mean,
yeah.
I don't need MIT physics guy to tell me that a bigger bat's going to hit more home runs. So I
Yeah,
disagree with you guys. I feel like it's not a fad. I think the bats make a difference. I think we're going to see more long balls, and I hope so. I think that makes the game more exciting. I agree with Patty. It's not cheating. We could get the steroids era legally, and that would be awesome.
I think two more things to add on to that I think are interesting. One, I hope the MIT guy patented this and he makes a lot of money and sets his family up for a successful future. The second thing to me is if you notice, and I'm not saying not all, but if you notice, a lot of the best power hitters in the MLB right now are not the ones switching to this. A lot of the guys switching to the torpedo bat are smaller in stature that like inside half pitching that turn on the baseball. And that I think is a cool thing for those guys to try to gain an advantage. But like I thought one of the funniest tweets this weekend, I'm sure you guys saw, was like Portnoy or somebody tweeted at Aaron Judge and he was like, wow, you needed a torpedo bat to hit 3 home runs, and then right underneath it said like AI fact checked. Aaron Judge does not use a
Yeah.
torpedo bat. Like Judge isn't using one. Soto's not using one. There's a lot of these bigger sluggers. Jordan Alvarez.
Well,
Otani.
Like
I mean, nobody knew about him until 2 days ago,
I wouldn't
really.
say
I
nobody
mean,
because th- Lindor was using one at the end of last year. There's people that have been using them for 2+ years, but this is just like the first time that people have created a quote unquote perfect design of it. So this has been
okay.
around for 2+ years. Guys like Lindor, and I want to say that I can't remember the picture, but there's like 6 or 7 guys that have been trying this bat out for basically 2 years and going back and forth on it. But now this is like the perfect, parameters as far as like where they like the sweet spot for it.
It's
Okay.
almost as if it's unbreakable too, with how it's evenly spaced out throughout the whole bat. Like they're turning on those inside pitches, and now they have more of a barrel to actually hit the ball with. So getting sawed off like what these guys used to do, it's probably not going to happen as much for those hitters. So
Yeah.
it is interesting. I will say, Patty, to your point, a lot of the smaller guys in stature, they did have pop, but not enough to go deep, 20, 25 times. Now they will. Now it does give them that competitive advantage. So it is pretty cool.
I'm not saying that he wasn't this guy before because I do like Anthony Volpe as a prospect, but you're going to see a guy like Anthony Volpe who's using the torpedo bat hit 20 to 27 home runs now rather than 12 to 20, which was kind of his, ceiling before. That's the kind of guy that you're going to see his power numbers go up. Ellie De La Cruz, like another guy that was a probably, 20 to 30 home run guy could be a 30, 35 home run guy now. Like, I don't know if this will, like you said, Mike, I do think there will be more long balls, but I don't necessarily think this will be the cross across the whole MLB. But we'll
Barry
see.
Bonds Barry Bonds would have hit 120 home runs using a torpedo bat. Just throwing that out there. His
And it
hand-eye
would have been
coordination was
awesome.
crazy.
It would have been awesome to
Absolutely, it would have been
watch.
awesome. Yep, 100%.
So what I've
100%.
gathered from this episode is what Mike wants is he wants metal torpedo bats while the steroids are, or while the players are injecting steroids coming up out of the dugout. They're in the on deck circle, shooting up, ready to just let it fly.
And he wants to put electrical tape around the baseballs like we used to do with the wiffle balls back in the day,
Hey,
so they
look,
go
man,
further.
this thing got me taking all the overs I can, and Ben's got me parlaying 18 guys that hit home run in the same night to win $2 million off of a 4 cent bet. So, I need long balls.
That's the
That
start
I
of the Randler 10-cent parlay podcast right here. Here it
Oh,
is.
and our producer just got his clip. That's the clip. I need long balls. That's the title. Boom.
well,
Randler needs long balls.
I think that's our dumb shit. You guys got anything else you want to get into this week before we get out of here? I think we covered most of it. We got any highlights of the week that I missed?
Not
I
that
don't
I
think
can
so.
think of.
Go Phils.
All right, short
Keep
show,
Aaron
easy
Rodgers out
show.
of Pittsburgh. Goodbye.
Oh
It looks like
God.
he's going, buddy. Looks like he's going to
Now,
Pittsburgh.
I don't want to be here for another 30 minutes. We could talk next week. Wrap it up, Mike.
All right, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. Please check out theclashingconferences.com. Come join us. It's a party.
Boom, boom, boom.